What is up, everybody? This is Andrew with American Marijuana, and this is my vlog series where I track the progress as I try to build a cannabis-based business. This week, the updates are that I've had a number of calls with potential growers or white label companies. So I found an edibles company that has a really good white label program, and I'm going to be working with them. Well, I'll probably be working with them because it's so easy to work with. It looks like the minimum order is about $20,000, which is a lot less than what I was expecting. And that $20,000 will get you about 4,000 edibles, whatever the edible is, whether it's a chocolate bar or gummies, packages of gummies. So I felt like that was a really reasonable cost for some entry level white labeling, and they use that as sort of a test run while they get to know you before they ramp you up to a bigger volume and long-term contracts and all that sort of stuff. So a lot of the details that I was expecting, or a lot of the attributes that I was expecting from these relationships and these partnerships, are indeed true, where they do want to lock you up for an exclusive white label contract for a specific product or a specific range of products, but in exchange they'll give you pretty hefty discounts for the bigger the contract and the longer the contract and all that sort of stuff. So right now I'm speaking with 3 different growers. The first is primarily an edible shop, the second is a regional player, and the third is the one that I spoke to a while ago, but I've been having trouble getting in touch with them. So we do have a call scheduled for this afternoon, so I might have an update next week. I also went back to that same dispensary that I mentioned in the last vlog video, where they were saying that they didn't really know the details on how to contact the buyer to get product on their store shelves. So I had a different bud tender this time, and she was really helpful. She gave me their names and contact information, and I'll be reaching out to them probably next week. My goal, my priority isn't to build relationships with dispensaries right now, because I don't even have a white label manufacturer yet. So that's where my priorities are for now, is trying to find the details so I can put them into a business plan and see how much money I need to raise and where that money's going to be spent, and I can put together a budget and pro formas in the business plan. So, but the one thing that I'm starting to realize is that white label or private label manufacturers in the cannabis industry are growing. Almost everybody wants to get in on that because it's free money. And it's not free money. I mean, there's work and relationships that you have to maintain and costs associated with that. But for the most part, you can just set your price, because right now the people who have the licenses can basically set any price they want for the for helping you build your brand on their white label manufacturing. I've heard that some companies specialize in white label and they don't even want to do their own brand, which is great. But everybody else is kind of in the same boat, where they're trying to do white label, or they're trying to find white label customers. And I think this is going to be long term a significant portion of the cannabis manufacturing economy or business market. What else? In the news this week, I mean, the deaths from vaping, but the government response has been just way out there, with Massachusetts banning all vape products for 4 months. I mean, that's just unheard of. I mean, you want to talk about unpredictability and volatility within a given industry. Both the cigarette vaping as well as cannabis vaping. I mean, you're walking the edge when you enter that market, but with high risk comes high reward. And I think that the people who establish an early brand in the vape business right now are going to really just profit from it later. People like Select, Stizzy, Kingpen, and the other big ones right now. They're doing a lot of marketing. They're paying for placement on weed maps. And right now, given the IRS laws, those payments are not tax deductible. So they're just throwing money away. Well, they're not throwing money away. They're essentially paying twice as much on advertising as they would have to. But technically, I think they're getting a deal because so few cannabis companies are advertising right now that it hasn't really blipped the market. It hasn't affected it the way that other industries can and have. But once it's legalized and once the IRS gives the ability to have write-offs besides like the cost of goods, I think that there's going to be a boom in online advertising and general advertising at that time. But with the government's response to vaping, it's just been crazy. I mean, every state is doing something different, with the primary action being to crack down on all vaping. But what they don't realize is, what they don't realize, if indeed it comes out that most of the deaths came from exotic carts or illegal carts, making them illegal isn't going to do anything. All it's going to do is boost the illegal market. And so I haven't seen the information. I haven't seen any details that say specifically that it's mostly legitimate business people, legitimate cart makers who are causing the deaths. And so until that's proven, I mean, what's the point of making those illegal? I guess it's risk averse, but I think it's going to come out that it's more on the illegal side. That's where the deaths have been. So, but it's interesting. The government can take action without having complete information. But I guess that's what politicians do. What else? The other big news this week is that Congress passed the cannabis banking bill, and I think they'll send it over to the Senate at this point. But so it's not gone into law, but there was strong bipartisan support to get it passed. With something like 60 or 70 Republican Senate Congress people voting on the voting in favor of the law. And the way I see it, this is just the beginning. Well, it's not just the beginning. State legalization was the beginning, but this is really a sign that there will be bipartisan support at some point for federal legalization of cannabis. And I think it's inevitable that, I mean, everyone in the industry has already said that it's inevitable, but I think this is the biggest proof to date that Congress wants to provide a path towards legalization for cannabis, and this is the first step in that. So I'm optimistic that it's going to come even sooner than people expected. But I think a lot of people, everybody was predicting that this would be done by the end of the year, and it was done by the end of the year. So everybody making those predictions, good job. You called it, although it hasn't been passed yet. But I think it's looking good right now. So that's everything for now. As far as the business goes, I'm just sort of moving ahead with the goal of completing the business plan, so I can then make decisions as far as how I'm going to actually move forward. Right now, I don't have enough of the numbers or enough of the calculations to make that decision. But you can track my progress. Oh, I set up the website right there, AmericanMarijuana.com. If you have any questions or you want to reach out or if you want to see all of our channels, it's a good source for that. I'll be back in a couple days with more updates, and hope you guys have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.